Okay, so this is just a quick refresher tutorial because we did cover this once on writing ionic formulas. But this time we're going to look at writing ionic formulas from the name, not just the two elements or the element and the polyatomic ion that it comes from. So let's look at the steps for looking at a name and creating an ionic formula. All right, so you're going to identify your cation and your anion, just like if you were given simply elements. Then you're going to determine the charges using your periodic table or one of your reference charts. You're going to use your crisscross technique and then put parentheses around your polyatomic ions if needed. Okay, so we are going to have three examples: magnesium oxide, iron 3 chloride, and gold 2 nitrate. And you can see that each of these involves just a typical binary compound, a binary compound with a transition metal, and then the last one will be our most difficult, is the transition metal with a polyatomic ion. Now, I'm not going to use my references, but you can use yours. Okay, I've done these enough times that I remember what the charges are. So we're going to go ahead and just pull up a whiteboard, and then I'm going to shift over to that screen for sharing. Okay, and I copied our steps over and our examples, and we're going to start. So when you're identifying cations and anions, first thing to remember is that cation is always this first word here, so it'll always be magnesium, iron, and then on the next example it'll be gold. Okay. The second thing is determining your charges. So I know that I have magnesium. Magnesium is a group 2 metal, so it's Mg2+. And then I have to figure out what my anion is. My anion is oxide. Okay, so if you're not sure, you don't recognize it right away, the first thing you want to do is get rid of that IDE and look at the OX. And then you're going to look at your periodic table and you're going to find stuff that starts with the OX. The only thing that starts with OX is oxygen. So I know that that is what I'm going to be using for my anion. So that's a big O as its symbol. It's a group 16 element, so it's got a 2 negative charge. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and do that crisscross. We've got them written separate. We're going to write them together just like they're going to be in the formula. We're going to take this 2+, bring it down here. We're going to take our 2-, bring it down here. And that's going to be 2 and a 2. Okay, remember, if it's got a common denominator, we can simplify. So Mg2O2 becomes MgO. Okay, this is our final answer, and that is correct. Now let's look at iron 3 chloride. We're going to identify our cation and our anion. So our cation is iron. Our anion starts with chlor. Okay. If we look at the periodic table, remember that only those nonmetals in groups 15, 16, and 17 become anions. Of those, the only one that starts with chlor is chlorine. So I know what my anion is going to be. Iron symbol is Fe. The parentheses tell me the charge is a 3 positive. Chlorine is Cl. And chlorine has a 1 negative charge because it is a group 17 atom. Now I'm going to bring those together as if they're in their formula, FeCl, like this. We're going to do that crisscross. 1- comes over here. Remember, we don't actually write the ones, so that's going to stay blank. 3+ is going to come over here, and we're going to rewrite this at here, 3, like that. Okay, remember, you ditch the signs when you do this, so it's just a 3. So it's FeCl3, and that is our final answer, and that is correct. Okay, your 3 1 negative charges balance your single 3 positive charge. That's one way that you can check. All right, so let's take a look at one more, and that's your gold 2 nitrate. Okay, gold is a transition metal, but its charge is labeled. Okay, Gold is AU on your periodic table, and we know that it's a 2 positive. Okay. If you look at your reference chart, nitrate is NO3. Okay. NO3. That is our whole unit, and it is a 1 minus charge. Okay. So now we're going to write these together. AU and then NO3. And we're going to do our crisscross. Our 1 minus comes over here. Again, we leave that blank because we don't write in ones. 2 positive comes over here. Okay, now if you look at this, it's really hard to see if this is a unit of NO3 or if it's NO32. So what you're going to do is this is where you put in parentheses. And we'll do that when we rewrite. So we have AU, parentheses, NO3, and then the 2's on the outside. This is like putting dashes around a word to emphasize it, or like putting commas in a sentence to make sure that you're saying what you mean, okay? Because if you write this without the parentheses, it looks like this. Right? And you cannot tell that that 2 means 2 units of NO3. It looks like it means 32 oxygens, which is impossible. There's not enough bonds in the world for that. So we put the parentheses in just to be clear. Okay, that's it for writing formulas. We're going to practice this a little bit in class today. And then I'm going to have you guys go ahead and take that mastery check.